What an awesome fight we have in our co-main event of the evening at light heavyweight. Misha Cirkunov taking on Superman Ryan Spann. Matt, for Ryan Spann, he was the guy that was on Contender Series, and he lost emphatically. And then he continued to win, and he made it to the UFC, and then he continued to win until he lost his last fight to Johnny Walker. Something both of these guys have in common, well, losing emphatically to Johnny Walker. And if you look at it for Misha Cirkunov, the guy is 2-3 in the 5 on in. You look at some of the losses, well, they're by a finish, but we're talking Glover Teixeira. We're talking Johnny Walker. We're talking, no time, Volkan Oezdemir. And for Misha Cirkunov, it's kill or be killed. And if we're killing, we're submitting.
Oh yeah, people like saying the ground is water and he's a shark. That's what Cirkunov is. He's an absolute shark when it comes to grappling, and the way in which he can get his opponents to the ground is really impressive. He does have good judo, he has good wrestling, but he's one of these guys who is just so physically strong that he can kind of muscle his way into some positions. Now, I'm not saying that is the best path to victory if you're trying to beat a guy like a Jan Blachowicz, let's say, for the title, because he's going to tire you out and TKO you, but against someone like Ryan Spann, it's just a tough fight for Ryan Spann, because you look at what Ryan Spann excels at. It's a lot of the same things that Misha Cirkunov does. The issue is he's not as good at Misha in grappling. I look at the wrestling of Ryan Spann. Is he a good wrestler? He is, and he's a good defensive wrestler as well. He just isn't as good at wrestling as Misha Cirkunov. And the same thing, I look towards the jiu-jitsu. Ryan Spann has decent jiu-jitsu, but a lot of his submissions are A, defensive submissions, or B, they're after he hurts his opponent with a shot, and then he can try to search for submission after that. I don't really see him getting that opportunity against a guy like Misha Cirkunov, and maybe I'm giving my hand a little bit too early in this fight, but I'm pretty confident about Misha Cirkunov in this fight. I love his top pressure against a guy like Ryan Spann. Just, this is one of those fights where maybe Ryan Spann could catch him, but stylistically, this is a hard fight for Ryan Spann. He has the grappling defense to at least survive minutes, maybe even rounds in this fight, but I just think as the fight progresses, there's just going to be a lot of Misha Cirkunov top control, fishing for different submissions as the rounds go on, and eventually I think he'll be able to find something.
The funny thing is, I remember, like, down to a T, Ryan Spann's last fight. So he fought back in September against Johnny Walker. I remember doing the breakdown clear as day. I said, hey, Ryan Spann, what does he do well? All right, striker, awful cardio, his wrestling's decent, but don't do what you did against Carl Roberson and go for that deep double leg. You're going to get elbowed and knocked out. He did exactly that and get finished the exact same way by Johnny Walker. So for Ryan Spann, it's weird. Like, you look at the UFC record overall. He fights Emiliano Sordi his second time on Dana White's Contender Series in 2018. He wins that one by guillotine in the first round quick. He fights Luis Enrique, and he gets taken down. Is Luis Enrique the best grappler, the best wrestler? No. So then he fights Little Nog, and he knocks him out in Brazil.
After Little Nog rocks him, though, that's a little concerning.
But he knocks him out, big win. He submits Devin Clark. Well, if you submit Devin Clark, you're on your way to the top 15. He fights Sam Alvey and beats Sam Alvey, but I put my hands up. I honestly thought Smiling Sam won that fight, and it was such a disappointing fight.
Yeah, it was just a classic example of Ryan Spann beats up Sam Alvey for about half a round, and then you can tell Ryan Spann's cardio starts to become a factor, and he does get tired as that fight progresses. And it's not like Sam Alvey's some, ridiculous volume striker by any means, but Sam Alvey worked his way back into that fight just by moving forwards pretty much. And the fact that Ryan Spann is so happy to be on the back foot in a lot of his fights is really concerning against a guy like Cirkunov, who, if he is the one pushing forward, can easily just punch into a double leg takedown up against the cage, work, and keep on trying to get on top of you. Because the great thing Cirkunov does, we see a lot from Dagestani wrestlers, is he breaks your base. Every time you try to get back up to your feet, he's really good at figuring out what you're using to balance and then taking that away from you. If you're trying to post with an arm, he's going to take that away from you. And every single read you give him, I'm going to liken it to a Petr Yan on the feet, where he's always learning about what his opponent's doing. Well, Misha Cirkunov's that same way in the grappling. He's going to figure out how you like your transitions, how you're moving on the ground, and he's going to start capitalizing on all your mistakes.
And listen, I mean, Spann, we talk about the gas tank as being an issue. It's not like Misha Cirkunov, some type of cardio king. I mean, you look at his UFC career. He beats Daniel Jolly in the first round, Alex Nicholson in the second round, Iwan Kutsilaba third round, Krylov first round, loses in the first round, Cummins in the first round. He beats him, loses to Walker in the first round, beats Jimmy Crute in the first round. Misha Cirkunov's fights don't go that long.
He does not get paid by the hour.
You better hope this fight ends in the first round. It was originally supposed to take place back in December, and that's the other thing. Misha Cirkunov's last fight was against Jimmy Crute back in September of 2019. It's a long layoff for Cirkunov. He was injured back in December. He's the guy that came over to Canada from Latvia at the age of 12. And when he came over to jolly old Canada, he got into judo to try and kind of make some friends and acclimatize himself. Awesome stuff from Cirkunov, a guy who has great throws. He has great just basic wrestling too. And you watch those slick transitions. You want to go back and watch the Jimmy Crute fight. Crute has Cirkunov in all kinds of bad spots in that fight, and vice versa. But there's a spot where Crute's on top just hammering away. The referee's giving it a good look. And Misha just kind of powers out of it, gets him into a bad spot, rolls, and then gets him into the Peruvian necktie. And it was game over for Jimmy Crute, who is a very, very good wrestler and a very, very good grappler. So I love the fight. I think it's a great one. The odds here, Cirkunov minus 125, now minus 124. The odds haven't really changed. For Spann, open to plus 105. He's now plus 100. So listen, the money's kind of moved around a little bit. You want to have a look at the Tapology votes to see what the fans are thinking. They're very close. 51% Spann, a large contingent. 81% have him by knockout. The 49% have Cirkunov, 69% by submission. That's out of 974 total votes. So I'm in agreement with you. Again, you tipped your hand. I like Cirkunov in this one. It is Spann by knockout, Cirkunov by submission. Or maybe Spann clips Cirkunov and submits him, but I really don't see it. I just have Cirkunov. I think his wrestling's good enough unless he gets caught by a straight shot up the middle. I think he's going to go in there and get the submission win.
If Spann had like 15% more power, I'd be a lot more confident picking him. He does have TKOs on his record. He's not that great of a striker, though. You're not looking for Ryan Spann to go out there and strike like a guy who is like Carl Roberson, for instance, who's very technical. Spann does need to catch him with kind of a looping wild shot, and I think Cirkunov's too smart to get caught by something like that. I see a submission win for him as well.
Yikes. Both of us going with Latvia and Canada's Misha Cirkunov to get the win. Really looking forward to this fight and our main event match. Leon Edwards finally making the walk, taking on Belal Muhammad. Remember the name. It should be a great fight, so keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. As we always say, let's get into it.